Hi, and welcome to part 3 of my Python Programming for Beginners series. In the first two videos, we went over how to install and set up, and then we just went over a simple hello world statement. And in the last video, we went over what is a variable, the different types of data types, and how to accept an input from a user. So today we're going to be going over some of the basic operators and some of the comparison operators. This isn't going to be all of them, but these are going to be the ones that you're going to be most commonly using. The basic operators are basically your most common math operators. So we're going to be going over addition, subtraction, multiplication, the different types of division, and then the exponent, and then also long division, but then the comparison operators, which are going to be your greater than, lesser than, equals, and not equal to. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So firstly, I'm just going to initialize three variables here with num1 equaling 1, num2 equaling 2, and we're going to do num3 equaling to 5. All right, and we're going to be doing all of our tests using the print statement that we've seen in the first two videos, basically just to print out what the output would be of these operations. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to be doing one at a time and running each one individually, just so the output doesn't get too confusing. So let's do num1 here plus num2. So this should be 1 plus 2, which should give us 3, which it does here, so that's perfect. So let's just do actually let's keep it the same here. So let's do 1 minus 2, and this will give us 1 here. And then we can do, now what you could also do is we're using variables here, but you could use actually just a number minus a variable. So this will be 10 minus 2, which gives us 8. So that's perfect here. So what we can do here now is let's do multiplication. So let's do num2 times num5. Oops, sorry, num3, which has the value of 5. This gives us 10, which is awesome. So now let's look at division. So if you remember in school, you would have learned a long division method, which basically kind of gives you how many times that the number divides into the other number, and then you would have a remainder. So you can actually do that in Python. But first, we're just going to show you a simple division, which is what you're probably used to these days with calculators. And that's just the single forward slash here. So let's just do print num3 divided by num2, which is going to be 5 divided by 2, which should give us 2.5. So here we have 2.5. So in order to do the long division, you're just going to do the division sign twice, and that will actually tell it to do a long division, which in this case, 5 divided by 2 should only give us 2 because we have 1 left over. So let's just see that here. So we get 2. Now, in order to get the remainder from this division, so if we did 5 divided by 2, we know that 2 goes into 5 2 times, and then there would be 1 left over. So to get that remainder, it's actually going to be the percentage sign. So it's going to be num3 percent num2. So this is going to be 5 remainder of 2. And this will give us a value of 1. Perfect. So that's pretty much like all the different math. And then there is the power of or exponent, depending on where you're from, which is marked by 2 multiplication symbols. So if we do 5 to the power of 2, that should be 25. And here we get 25 here. So that's perfect. So let's actually combine these math formulas with some inputs here. So let's actually do an in num1 equals input. And then we're just going to do a in num2 equals input. And then we are just going to do in num1 plus in num2. And let's just run this here. So let's give our first value of 2 and our second value of 0. So in theory, 2 plus 0 should be 2. And let's just see what it gives us here. So it gives us 20. And the reason for that is so remember in the last video, when we went over the inputs, I said that the input would always take it as a string. So we need to actually convert these to integers in order for it to work properly. Or else it's just going to concatenate two strings together. So what we could do is we can cast the int up here, right over the whole input, or we can cast it here. So here I'm doing num2 at the actual variable assignment, and then I am doing the num2 inside of the print statement. So let's see how this works here. It's saying that I have a not sure exactly what happened here. There you go. That should work. All right. So what had happened there is I had accidentally ran it with some errors here. So it was kind of stuck there for me. So let's put in our first number here. So this is our in num. So this is automatically going to convert it to an integer here. So let's put the number 4. And then we're going to put the number 0 again. So that gives us the output of 4. And that's because we do the integer conversion at the assignment for num1. And then we did the integer conversion at the print line for num2. So you could really use either or, and I wanted to really show that you can really put it at the time that you take in your input, or at the time that you do your print. You can also do it any time in between. So you can really do quite a bit there. You can combine it with some statements that we'll be seeing later on, like some if statements, in order to make sure that it is a number and then convert it over. So the other thing that we wanted to go over in this video here is the comparison operators. So here we have the greater than, lesser than, equals, and not equals. So here, the equal sign you're going to see is double equals. If you only did a single equals, that tells Python that you're trying to assign a value. So in order to test a comparison, you're going to want to do the double equals. And then the not equals is just an exclamation mark and an equal sign. So if we do the same thing here, we're not going to use variables for this, but let known that you can use variables here. So if we just did a print statement here, and we did 5 is greater than 10, so that should print us false. Let's do print 10 is greater than 5, so that'll print out true. And then let's do another one. We're going to do 5 is less than 10. And then we're going to do print 5 is equal to 10. Print 5 is equal to 5. Now we're going to have some fun here, and we're going to do We're going to do strings just after. We're just going to do some basic numbers for now, and then we're going to do some strings in just a little bit here. So here we have all of our expressions for our print statements. So this one, in theory, should be printing out false, then true, then true, then false, then true, then false, and then true, and then false. So let's see if that's what we get here. So we get the first one as being, let me just expand this up a little bit. So we get the first one as being false because 5 is not greater than 10. 10 is greater than 5, so we got true. 5 is smaller than 10, so we got true. 5 is not equals to 10, which is false. And then 5 equals to 5. We got it as true. 4 is not equals to 2, so we got that as a true. And then 2 is not equals to 2. We got a false because that is false. So that is perfect there. So you can also do a lot of other things with these comparison operators. Like if you did print hello is equal to hello. Now, what would you guys think this would give? Now, technically they both say the same word, but because Python is case sensitive, even the variables are case sensitive. So if you've named one variable num1 with a capital N, and you have another variable num1 with a lowercase n, these would actually be two different variables. So in this will actually print out false because hello is not equals to hello with a capital H. So always be sure to remember that Python is case sensitive. And if we did the not equals sign, we're going to see that it is true. But then if we match this here, we are going to see that it is true. So that's perfect. Another thing that we can do is we can do true equals to false. So this, we should see it come up as false here because true is not equals to false. So that is awesome. So these are all the basic operators and the basic comparison operators. So we've gone over quite a bit of those, and we're actually going to be using these in our next video, because in our next video, we're going to be going over different types of conditional statements. I like to call them conditional statements, even though they are just like if statements, but they use these conditional statements to determine whether or not you are going to run that block of code. And then that is also accompanied by an elif and else statement, which we will also be seeing in that video. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to know when that video comes out, and I will see you on the next video.